Hey, good morning, everybody. How you doing? Steve Stockton here with you live from a cold and wet New England. Actually, it's not that cold today. It's unseasonably warm. It was supposed to get up to 50. I don't think it quite made it yet. Most of the snow has melted away. Let's see. Oh, I just now got a notification for this stream. Thanks, YouTube. Well, it is live, but usually it goes out like a half hour before. It's all sunny out there, as you can see behind me. There's still enough snow around that it's um, a lot of glare out there. You get snowblind real easy. How's everybody doing today? It's a minute here, and I'll go through the chat with you. 47 chilly degrees, rain on the way. Um, More snow on the way, possibly Friday night and next week. High winds, flood watch. It's wintertime here in New England. My first winter in New England, I was expecting like a Currier and Ives painting for Christmas Day. That didn't happen, but I got it the other day. It was gorgeous. It looked like that behind me there. Now it's just, I've got the shades drawn, but there's still a lot of snow hanging around. Old timers used to say, hanging around waiting for more. So we'll see. Let's see who we got with us here this morning. It's actually afternoon now on the East Coast, just a few minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes after noon. Hope you got your coffee. Lindsay Tribbett, how you doing? Good morning. Good to see you. Gray Wolf Paranormal Lindsay, all the way from Canada. Good to see you. Got a Canadian-centric video coming up. I'm editing the audio now. Should be ready. I don't know if I'll premiere it tonight. It depends on how long it takes me to put the video together. Tonight or tomorrow, probably. It's today, Wednesday. Of course it's Wednesday. I'm having coffee with you guys. I do that on Wednesday. After all these holidays, it's just like, I don't know, one day from another. And then Christmas and New Year's a week apart like that. And then I'm still all jumbled up. Kyrie, good evening. How are things there in Lithuania? Hope you're doing well. Slowboy Whiteboard, glad you're back with us again. Chaplain Marcia Jill Mann. Oh, Nashville, Tennessee, Music City. Used to be one of my playgrounds. I lived in East Tennessee, but I'd occasionally make the drive out to Nashville. I had a lot of friends down there. Used to go down there and hang out on Broadway. There's some cool places down there. Excuse me. And got the snowman over here in my corner and the little snow baby there behind him. But you too, prayers and blessings to you, Chaplain, and everybody here. Scott's Live, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you here again, as always. Kia, Rennie Warren, haven't seen you in a while, but welcome back. And that music that I was playing, that's my new favorite song by Lee G. It's called Shudders. Got kind of a trip hop vibe. Reminds me of the artist Tricky. But that's all Lee G's, one of his instrumentals. And I put a link in the chat there if you want to go and listen to that and check out other videos that he's got. And he's live 3 nights a week. He wrote a song, or not, last night he didn't write a song. He's naming songs that he'd already written last night. But Night Rider that he does on Tuesdays, back he creates a original track from scratch in this ever out long Eastern. So I think he said the quickest he'd ever done one was 20 minutes, and the longest it took a couple of hours. But now he'll be there tomorrow night, Thursday night, Radio 1FA, original tracks back to back. And I may join him on camera this week. Stephen, the Chairnator, and I go over there with the Even Stevens, and he's oddly, it's kind of a pseudo comedy show with some really, really good original music from Lee. Hey, Lady J. Homestead, how are you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Vixen Doe, another New Englander. You still digging out up there, Vixen? Midwest Night Watchers, how you doing, Gerald? Garrel, good to see you. I always mispronounce your name, but glad to see you here. Alligator Horse, how you doing? Sub-zero weather coming next week. Image goes well with the forecast. Yes, indeed. Anybody tired of winter yet? I love it. I haven't seen a good snow like this really in forever. I mean, we got some occasional ones in East Tennessee that was blizzard of, I think, 93 or something was the last one I remember. But this is, I think, is just business as usual here in New England. Who else we got with us here? Chris, how you doing? From the high desert. I came here from the high desert in New Mexico. Saw some pretty good snows out there. If you really wanted to see amazing snow, though, you had to go just up the road into Colorado. I was, I think it's about a half hour's drive from Durango, and made that drive before from Durango up to can't remember the other little town up there, the one where the railroad runs between them, Silverton, Silverton, and had some problems with the altitude up there. I'd gone up to cover a case of a missing hiker from a campground up there, kind of between Durango and Silverton. I was up above 10,000 feet and couldn't get my breath. Had to go down into Silverton to an outfitter and get some canned oxygen. Go up there to do the video and just take a couple of puffs of oxygen, hide it behind my back, and hey, Steve Stockton here with you. And then and kind of got tunnel vision. Everything was kind of dark on the periphery, and everything was funny. I mean, like stupidly funny. That's just a part of it, the altitude sickness, if you're not used to it. I had a little bit of it like the first week. I had moved from the Portland, Oregon area, around 6 to 36 feet above sea level, depending on where you're at. And then Farmington, it's over a mile high. It's like 5,635 feet, I believe. So Denver, Mile High City, they got nothing on Farmington. Farmington's a few hundred feet higher anyway, but it messed with me for a week or so until I acclimated. But up above 10,000 feet, I don't know if I could get used to that or not. Who else we got here? Ms. NetNet, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for coming back. Music Links, minus 20. Oh, gosh. Sorry, I hope those injections work well for you. Stay warm there. I hope Baba Lynx is doing good. That's her, what is it, a 40-pound rag doll of a cat? That's a big kitty. Ahmed Omran, hello from Egypt. Hello, sir. I don't know if we've ever had anyone from Egypt in the chat with us before, but thank you for being here. 50 Mike, how you doing in the Ozarks there, buddy? Did you all get snow? I don't remember. I asked you that the other day. Debbie Little, beautiful 74 degrees in Miami. I'm sure there's some people here that are envious of you. I've been to Miami. I lived in Florida for about 3 years. I don't care for sun, sand, and beaches. And I did enjoy Key West, but there's a lot of odd things down there. Went down there and saw Robert the Doll, and a lot of spooky stuff there in Key West. It's might as well be a different planet anyway. And when you're there, they call it the end of the world. When you get as far as you can get without getting in the ocean on the key there, you're actually closer to, I think it's Havana, somewhere in Cuba, than you are Miami, I think. Frightening prospect to think about, but it's gorgeous down there in the Keys, but I don't like warm weather. I don't like sunshine, so. Well, thank you, Ahmed. You have a good night as well. Larry from Texas, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you here. Thank you for joining us. Go Navy is here. RP Skaza in the house. How you doing? Good to see you. Anna Sapurik says, hi, everyone. Jay Case. Oh, that's our pleasure. My wife and I make these videos together. She writes the scripts, I do the words and the editing, and occasionally just go live like this just to talk to people and enjoy a cup of coffee with you here. Oh, this is Dunkin' Midnight, I think, with toasted white chocolate and 2 or 3 shots of raspberry flavoring. Really good. And no, this is a unsolicited endorsement, but I love my dunks. That's just part of being a New Englander now that I'm a transplant. Oh, okay. Well, Jay, you're free to lurk or whatever you want to do. Just hang out. Yeah, Alligator Horse. So they worked at an outfitter in 77 as a wrangler near Mount Falcon. Yeah, sometimes you just Just not built for that. I don't think I'm built for that kind of altitude. Not anymore, anyway. Melanie Deisenroth, another New Englander. You digging out too, Melanie? It's pretty much all melted here. There's still some, basically where they plowed the streets. They piled it up on the side of the road, and a lot of people got blocked in their driveway. But there's some pretty good little mounds out there of snow still. Yeah, that's right. It is afternoon now here on the East Coast. Hey, Mr. Betsy, how you doing? Hello from Canada. I was just telling uh, Lindsay Grey Wolf Paranormal there that I've got a Canadian video coming up about some strange Canadian disappearances, unsolved ones. I've got it recorded. I just have to edit the audio and then put the video together. So you might see it tonight, more likely tomorrow. Who else we got here? Cindy Baxter. Hey there. How you doing? Thank you for joining us. One of our channel members, Sultry Cat Lady, Northern California. How you doing? Good to see you. Ian W.C. Jacobs, South Africa. Right now you guys are in summertime down there in the southern hemisphere. Everything's backwards to where it is here. We're in the middle of winter. They're in the middle of summer. Same with Australia. And Melanie says, not digging out. Snow turned to rain. Yeah, we're supposed to have some high winds here, but I haven't seen them yet. Gusts up to, I think it said like 50 miles an hour, something crazy like that. Hey, Daphne, how you doing? Yeah, we had power here. Haven't heard of any power outages, but those may come with the high winds. I got kind of worried because that was a wet, heavy snow, and a lot of the tree branches out here were just hanging thick with it. I think ice makes them come down worse. But didn't have any trouble. Didn't wink out. Didn't do anything. So yeah, indeed, I hope everybody has power wherever you are. If you're running on generator and still watching this, then that's something. JK, Santa Cruz, California, 2 feet. Yeah, that's what I was used to when I lived in. I lived in Portland, Oregon, and just outside of Portland, and 6 to 36 feet was the range that I was in there. And speaking of the Pacific Northwest, here's Coco joining us. Good morning from the PNW. 9:15 there. Hope you got your coffee there, Coco. Thank you for joining us again. Seen you in here before. Daphne says the winds caused a lot of flooding in coastal Maine. Things are subdued where we are a little inland. Oh, good. Stay safe there, everybody. Yeah, those generators are good to have on hand. You never know. You just never know. 40 of you in here watching right now. I invited Lee to pop in and say hi, but I don't see him. Blessings from above. Hey, good afternoon back at you from New England. What part of Tennessee? I'm originally from East Tennessee myself. Grew up in the Knoxville, Oak Ridge area. Spent a lot of time in the Smokies, Sevierville, Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg. But liked it up in the mountains, especially inside the park. I didn't really hike the trails that much. I like to go off trail and do the backcountry stuff in the Smokies. Amanda M is joining us. No, that's not a problem at all, Amanda. My wife will put on a playlist when she's ready to go to sleep. I fall asleep to my own voice. I've actually fallen asleep here at my editing desk. I've put myself to sleep and nodded off, and then have to go back and listen and see how far I got before I conked out. Hey, there's the man. Lee G. Lee, I was playing Shutters for him earlier. Left a link in the chat. This man has some great music on his channel, and live 3 nights a week. Like I said, he'll be over there tomorrow night for Radio 1FA, back-to-back original tracks with Even Stevens and Odd Lee. It's kind of a sort of a little bit a comedy show because Steven and I like to wind Lee up, but we're the even Stevens and he's odd Lee. Uh, oh, Wartburg. Been to Wartburg many times. Or if you're from the area over there in the Middle Tennessee, they call it Watburg. That's what my dad called it. He was from Fentress County. But yeah, I've been down there close to Petros where the prison used to be. I think it's closed down now, but a friend of mine, Michael Laciana, that does haunted history on, I think it's on Amazon Prime Video. He went down there and did some EVP recordings in the old Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary there, and he got some interesting stuff. I wouldn't spend the night in it on a ghost hunt or otherwise. But yeah, used to go to, there was a Hardee's down there at Wartburg. I'd have cousins come in from Indiana that'd go to Jamestown or somewhere in Fentress County, and we would drive from Oak Ridge or occasionally West. We lived in West Knox County in the Solway community, and we go down there and meet them. That was kind of halfway. I think it's a little bit further than halfway for them, but we go to the Hardee's in Wartburg and have breakfast with my cousins from Indiana. Lee, you're mod here. Go ahead and drop a link for your channel. Let the people go over there and check out all this stuff I'm raving about. Yeah, I've been playing Calm Before the Storm on all my live streams, but here lately I've had shudders stuck in my head. So I messaged Lee this morning and said, brother, would you be okay if I played that? And I didn't even know what the name of it was until last night. He'd played it on one of his Radio 1FA nights, or sometimes even like on Saturday nights when he does the covers. He'll take a break and play some of his own. And now that's an instrumental that he's got like over 200 tracks, Lee, plus 80 instrumentals, I think. It's a bunch. But love Lee's music. Let's see. Let me read you guys a story out of my first book, Strange Things in the Woods. I tried to do this the other night, and the lighting was so bad in here, I couldn't even read my own book here. Let me find a good story here. Mulder says hello. Just a little whoop. But go check Lee out. Yeah, here's one, and I've actually been to this place that the story was about, checked it out for myself. It's in Vonore, Tennessee, down near La Follette, I think. That's there's Fort Loudon Museum is down there too. The recreation of the fort, and the Sequoia Museum. Sequoia, the originator of the Cherokee alphabet. They've got a really nice museum there. This is chapter 5 of Strange Things in the Woods. You can get this signed from me, by the way, in my Etsy shop. I'll sign it, personalize it, send it right out to you. And it costs less than it does to buy a 9 signed copy on Amazon. You go ahead and drop a link for that. So I've still got my holiday sale going on. So those, this is the best deal you'll get on them this year. If you'd like to, because I've got 5 of my best sellers up over there. Might as well go ahead and show them all to you. My Strange World, which is my personal paranormal experience. It's just a few of them. When I published this book, I would go on radio or TV and talk about the stories in here. And the host, or particularly if it was a call-in show, people would say, well, these are other people's stories that you've collected. Have you ever had a paranormal experience? And I'd tell one or the other. And eventually I thought, I've probably got enough to fill a book. And I did. And that's just one volume. There's at least 2 more volumes I could do with that one. And then I've got the National Park Mysteries and Disappearances series. Volume 1, The Great Smoky Mountains. I gave it its own volume just for the Smokies, because that was one of my favorite places growing up and well into adulthood. I didn't move out of Tennessee until I was like 40, I think, and spent a lot of time in the Smokies. And it's not just disappearances, but the mysteries part. There's ghost stories in here. There's Cherokee legends. There's Just all kinds of good stuff if you like it. And then volume two of that is California, part of California. I've got Yosemite, Joshua Tree, and Mount Shasta. Um, I've been to Mount Shasta again since I wrote this, and I could do a whole book just on Mount Shasta. There is some strange, strange energy up there. And my favorite chapter in this one is the part on Joshua Tree, where I stayed at the Joshua Tree Inn and possibly encountered the spirit of Graham Parsons. I may narrate that into a story sometime. And the third volume so far in the series, uh, the Pacific Northwest, Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. And again, there's some strange disappearances in here, but there's also mysteries, legends, ghost stories, Native American tales, indigenous people tales, all kinds of good stuff. And more volumes of that on the way as soon as I can get them out there. And if you'd like to have a signed copy of any of those I just talked about there's a link to our Etsy shop. Okay, this is chapter 5. It's called The Spirit Tree. Now, this was told to me by someone else, and I had to go check it out. I was living in East Tennessee at the time I collected this story. The person that sent it to me wasn't from Tennessee, but he was visiting Tennessee. I'd gone on a trip to the Sequoia Museum in Von Orr, Tennessee, to do some research for a film script I'd been hired to write. After I finished my research in the museum, I decided to stroll around the grounds for a bit and see what there was to see outside. At one edge of the paved parking lot, there is a quote-unquote Indian mound where the remains of many Native Americans are interred. It's commemorated with a plaque, and there were many Native American objects left on the mound as tribute, items made from such things as bird feathers and deer sinew. I stood near the mound and contemplated these indigenous people and their fate. Afterward, I decided to venture back into the woods behind the mound, seemingly drawn to a particular area for some unknown reason. After a short walk, I found myself in a clearing with the strangest tree I've ever encountered. It was a very large and very old tree, several feet around at the trunk. I'm unsure just what type of tree it was, but I think it may have been a beech tree. The tree was so massive and so otherworldly looking, it seemed totally out of place among the pine, oak, and elm. The area beneath the tree was devoid of any plant life, covered instead by a thin layer of leaves over dark, fertile ground, so barren otherwise that it gave the appearance of having been swept clean. I knew right away that this was someone's power spot, as I could feel the energy. The tree was so huge and so old and so magnificent that it seemed more like a Disney creation than an actual tree. I stood at the base and meditated for a few moments, feeling the waves of energy, when I abruptly felt a darker, heavier presence, as if I were being watched. I suddenly was overcome with a mixture of fear and sadness. I feel like I was an intruder, and this was a sacred place, even though I'm part Native American by birth on my father's side. I took a few pictures of the tree and then hurriedly left the area. Once I got home and looked at the digital pictures on my computer, I wasn't surprised to see what some call orbs or spirit lights in the photos. I visited the tree on a couple more occasions since, but always end up feeling like I'm somewhere I don't belong and beat a hasty retreat after a few minutes. The tree, which has stood for hundreds of years, and I suspect will be there for hundreds more years to come, still stands and can be visited by anyone. But if you do visit, please be reverent and respectful. There are protective spirits in these woods, and especially around this particular tree. If you visit it, you will immediately know what I'm speaking about to be true. And I did. I went down to Von Orr and checked it out, and it does. It looks like a Disney creation. I've only encountered one other tree that seemed that mystical, and that was up in the Smokies, somewhere around Klingman's Dome. I'd gone off trail up there and had a weird experience up there too. But if you look up Sequoia Museum on Google Maps and kind of zoom in, you can see that mound out the edge of the parking lot, and that big tree is just in the woods just behind that mound. But you feel like you're intruding there, and it definitely is somebody's power spot. just this big old tree. I mean, it would take 5 or 6 people to hold hands and reach around it. Hey, Gory Tiger, how you doing? Welcome in. Good to see you. Excuse me. Little hiccup there. Let me go ahead and read another one here. That was fun. I like reading out of my books here. This is, I just flipped it open at random here. Chapter 62, The Cat Carving. I was playing in an old ditch beside the house I grew up in. I was probably all of 10 years old. While climbing up one side of the ditch, I happened to spy a small hollow area underneath a tree root that was growing out over the top of the bank. Curious, I first poked into the little hidey hole with a stick to make sure there were no snakes or spiders or any other creepy, crawly, slithery things inside, and then explored it with my hand, all the while thinking this would be a great spot to stash something. As to what I would stash, I hadn't a clue, but it was a keen hiding spot nonetheless. While clearing debris from the hole, I pulled out what looked and was shaped like a half of a round river rock, as if it had been cut into lengthwise. I started to toss it over my shoulder, but then something on the rock caught my eye. I saw the crudely drawn face of a cat staring back at me. On closer examination, the rock turned out to be half of an almost perfectly formed clay ball into which someone had carved a classic, albeit simplistic, cat's face, complete with upside-down triangle nose and sporting sets of 3 whiskers on each side. 2 small, close-set eyes and 2 open-bottom triangles for ears made up the whole of this handiwork. Overjoyed at my fortune, I stuck the carving into my pocket and promptly forgot about it, as small boys are known to do. I didn't think about it until later in the night when I started hearing strange noises in my house. Uh-oh. I was getting ready for bed and had absent-mindedly tossed my clothing of the day on the floor of my closet. This was where my mom always looked for my stuff anyway, so I figured no harm, no foul. I turned on my small reading lamp and plopped into bed with a stack of comic books I'd acquired earlier in the day from an older kid at school. 10-year-old boy bliss. Just as I finished scanning the covers and had chosen a volume to peruse, I heard an odd scratching sound coming from somewhere in my room. I was puzzled, but didn't think much of it and happily continued to lose myself in the comic book. How much you want to bet it was a horror comic? A few minutes later, I heard the noise again. This time, the scratching was more urgent, more fervent. It was as if a small animal were trying to vie for my attention with a comic book. Granted, we did live out in the country and I had a few pets, but they all had their respective places outside and had never been allowed to set a paw within the confines of our farmhouse. Diligently, I rose from the bed and began walking the periphery of the room, listening at all the windows and doors. Suddenly, it dawned on me. The sounds were coming from my closet. Doo-doo. I eased over to the closet door and warily pressed an ear against it. Yep, sure enough, it sounded like something small and furry was gently but firmly trying to extricate itself from my closet. I armed myself with a BB gun and a flashlight. I was 10 years old, mind you, and slid the door open on its track, only to be met with a closet full of nothing. At least nothing that wasn't supposed to be there. I didn't hear the scratching with the doors open, but continued to poke around inside the closet with the barrel of the BB gun. Then, all of a sudden, when I shifted my blue jeans from the pile, the little carving I'd found in the woods gently rolled out of my pants and came to rest upright on the floor. In the eerie beam of the flashlight, it appeared as if the little cat was glaring at me. I resisted the urge to take the carving back immediately. Excuse me. Instead, settling to put it in the garage for the night. I didn't hear any more scratching, and when I got up the next day, I returned the little carved cat back to the hole in the woods where I'd found it. This is a poignant line here. Sometimes things are where they are for a very specific reason and are not meant to be disturbed, especially by children. What do you think about that? You ever found anything strange in the woods? I've had all kinds of strange experiences in the woods, found all kinds of things. Yeah, over where my dad was from, they when they would plow the fields to get ready to plant the crops, if you go after they plowed and then it rained after that first rain after they plowed, you could find arrowheads and pieces of worked flint laying on top of the ground. But we were always very reverent with them. My dad would put them in a big frame. Sorry, a little scratch in the throat there. But that's true. You never know what you find in the woods, what it represented to somebody, what the intent was when they made that. Whoever made that little carving probably did have some kind of very specific purpose for it in mind, and to take the time to do all that and then stash it somewhere. I mean, could have been a kid playing years before that kid found it, but who knows? But do be careful what you bring into your house. Now, one of my parents' hobbies, they were antique dealers, and they brought home a lot of old stuff, a lot of Victorian era stuff, and that was their favorite. It was the Victorian era antiques, and then some of the Art Deco stuff, the era after that. But there's some things out in the garage sometime that I couldn't wait for them to be out of the house. I have a little bit of that empathic thing going on, and there were some things that had some truly frightening energy with it, and I'd be like, "You guys taking that wardrobe to the shop, or when are you getting that old dresser out of the garage?" I would act like that I was being put upon. That's in the way. I like to put my bicycle over there, and there's this big oak dresser in the way with this ornate mirror or something. So, but some things just they have that aura, they have that energy about them. So let's see what else we got coming up this week. Um, do current missing person cases on Friday afternoon. And I may do another live this weekend. I'm enjoying doing those live, especially the other day when I was snowed in. I did one during the snow, and then the next day I had the snow day live and had those back to back. I think 4 hours on when it was snowing, and then I did I think 11 hours then for the snow day. But I had a lot of fun anyway. Yeah, Art Deco, Art Nouveau, they're beautiful antique type stuff, clocks and paintings, and just in general. And so I've got that Canadian video I'm working on. If you didn't listen to my radio show this past Sunday night, go have a listen to that. Cassie, Tales Told in the Dark, was my guest over there. Had a lot of fun. Talked about some stuff. And she's doing an audio recreation of Dracula. And she's tapped me to play the character Van Helsing. So I haven't got my lines yet, but I'm looking forward to that, to stretch my vocal legs a little bit, if you will, and do a little bit of voice acting. I've done it before, but it'll be fun. And that's quite an undertaking. I don't know that I would undertake Dracula, is coordinating all those people and having everybody get their parts in and putting it all together. And what else is coming up here? Said the holiday book sales going on. Oh, Andrew Gnomes Trucking. Thank you for the super sticker, super chat there, buddy. Missing guy from Lincoln, Nebraska. Dateline NBC. His name is Tyler Goodrich. Well, thank you, Andrew. Gnomes will look into that one. But I appreciate the donation there, friend. Pam Smith, how you doing? Good to see you. Yeah, here lately, Melanie, I used to go early with it when I was actually up having my first cup of coffee, but I don't want to go so early that the West Coast people are like to get up super early. Even if I go at 9, that's still 6 a.m. for them. That's awful early to get up and look at my mug. So literally, but been going at noon. That may be a good time because then 9 o'clock on the West Coast, and then that's 5 p.m. in the UK. So they're maybe having tea. I think tea's at 4 o'clock though. Lee, are you still in here? When's tea time, buddy? And what's for pudding? Having pudding for pudding. Actually, that's their way of saying what's for dessert, what's for pudding. You think so, Kyrie? I'll give it a good shot. Hey there. ISO 64HH. Yeah, I'm no offense, but I don't miss New Mexico. I'm much happier here in New England with my beautiful wife Nicole, and just I've always been drawn to New England. I'm just I've lived in the desert before I lived in the Mojave for about 10 years, and just not cut out for that desert weather anymore. But the high desert, that was a different animal. The weather seemed more extreme there. The hot was hotter, if that makes sense. You had the heat, but there where I lived, just down the road from the Animas River, so you had all this humidity with the heat, and it was unbearable sometimes. Just sit in under the air conditioning and hope for the best. Actually didn't have air. I didn't run the air conditioner. I used a swamp cooler, evaporative cooler, and that helps. I mean, you'd be surprised. But yeah, I'm very comfortable here in New England, and yeah, Maine is indeed beautiful. I think I'll end up there at some point. We're looking at properties up there. But I've always felt a draw to Maine, even as a child, and a part of that was Dark Shadows. Did anybody ever watch the original Dark Shadows? Not either remakes or the goofy Tim Burton movie, but the original with Jonathan Frid as Barnabas Collins. Um, I used to watch that when I was real little. Like I think it was on before I even started kindergarten, and then it was still on like when I went to kindergarten and school, first grade. I'd race home and watch Dark Shadows. We lived on a small farm, 26 acres, and that was the time of day. My mom would come pick me up from school and got back home while I was unwinding. She'd go down and gather the eggs, and I would stay in the house and watch Dark Shadows if she went at that particular time. I liked gathering eggs, but I like Dark Shadows even better. But a lot of times she'd come in and I was nowhere to be seen, and she'd yell for me, and I'd pop up from behind the couch or wherever I was hiding. That was a frightening, frightening show. If you've never seen the, so you're named after a character in the original Dark Shadows. How about that? But it's a gothic soap opera, if you will, about vampires in Maine. Is it Collinwood or Collinsport? I can't remember now off the top of my head. It's a fictional place, but I love that the opening there with the waves crashing on the rocks and the house up on the hill. I can't make the sound, but hey, Life Art Times, how you doing? Good to see you here. Thank you for joining us. I'm just hanging out, reading some stories, talking about what's coming up, and indeed, shine on. We all shine on. It's a great song. Yeah, he did. He's more my idea of a vampire, save for Bela Lugosi. I think Bela Lugosi is a preeminent. He'll always be what I think of as a vampire. I think of Bela. And but Jonathan Frid did a good job too. And Melanie says she watched Dark Shadows and Grandfather After School was his favorite show. Yeah, I used to have that theme music on vinyl. And had Quentin's theme on there, and then there was that one really spooky song, "I'll Be With You Always." David Selby, whatever happened to him? Is he still around, or is he? He's probably. I think he passed away a few years ago. And I met Jonathan Frid. He's back in the late '80s, mid to late '80s. He was at a convention that I went to. There was like classic TV and comic books and things like that, and they had special guests, and Jonathan Frid was one of the guests. Let's see here. And Jonathan Frid was Canadian. He passed away April 14th, 2012, in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Let's see David Selby here. David Selby. Oh, he is still very much alive. He's 82 years young. Will be 83 next month, February 5th. He was born in 1941. Best known for playing Quentin Collins on the daytime soap Dark Shadows, which ran from 68 to 71. He was also on Falcon Crest, Flamingo Road, and the feature film Raise the Titanic. So, salute, David Selby. Okay, so thank you for that there, Stu, and best wishes for your roommate. Having chest pains, never any fun. So thought, prayers, love, and light for Jerry Perdue. Oh, yeah, Dimensional Horse. We had about 20 inches of snow day before yesterday. And or was it 2 days? I don't remember what day it was. It all runs together after a while. But I did a snowed in stream. And then the next day, I did a snow day stream. So I had the live snow cam running in both those. But particularly in the snowed in stream, if you want to see what it was actually doing outside here and how bad it was, go back and watch that one. Hey, Seika, how you doing? Snowy, good morning to you too, although it's afternoon here on the West Coast, almost 1 o'clock. And thank you, Scott, for dropping that link. Yeah, go over and check out my blog, Around the Campfire. I'm working on a blog post now. I hope to get it out later today, talking about the folk horror genre. Anybody here like folk horror? Some examples that readily spring to mind are like The Wicker Man from 1973 and books, say, by M.R. James or Algernon Blackwood. It was kind of mainly like a 60s and 70s thing from the UK, but then it made a resurgence and it's still going strong. But my next blog post is going to be about the folk horror genre. Yeah, Wicker Man, the original. I don't have anything against Nicolas Cage, but he's just not my idea of Howie. I think that was I got some kind of alert here. Oh, thank you, Microsoft, for interrupting my stream. But the original Wicker Man. What was the actor's name? Edward played the Equalizer. Edward Woodward. Couldn't remember his name. Yeah, I've seen 8mm. That was a good film. And I basically like anything Nick Cage is in, going all the way back to Valley Girl back in the 80s. You might see that where he played a punk rocker from Hollywood who fell in love with a girl in the valley, and the worlds collided there. That was a good movie. Goofy, silly 80s teen comedy movie, but that was my first introduction to Nicolas Cage, also known as Nicholas Coppola. Is it his uncle? I think that's Francis Ford Coppola, and so related to Sophia, who's, I think, Francis' daughter. Francis used to have a big movie studio, the biggest one on the East Coast, I think, in It's over in North Carolina, right on the coast there. I can't remember the little town. It was around Cape Fear in that area. But I don't. No, wait. I'm sorry. That was Dino De Laurentiis that had that studio. Never mind. Francis Ford. I think all his stuff is in California. He's got a vineyard. I know that. I've seen his wine for sale before. Let's see. But yeah, go check out the blog and cover a lot of spooky stuff over there, and legends. And I'm going to read you another story here. Let me just flip through here and find something there at random that's not too long. Okay, there's chapter 32 from Strange Things in the Woods called The Grinning Man. And I didn't know it at the time that I wrote this and gathered this story from this person, which was actually several years ago. But that is a thing now, apparently. That's something that people see, the Grinning Man, along with the Hat Man and Shadow People and all those creepy things. So this is called The Grinning Man. When I was a child, my parents and my little sister and I would often go visit my grandparents who lived on a farm in West Virginia. At the time, we lived in the suburbs of a large city, so it was a refreshing change of pace for all of us to get out into the country for a bit. I always loved visiting my grandparents and was free to roam about the woods bordering their farm to my heart's content. There were ponds, a creek or two, and lots of places to explore. One morning, while out looking for berries or wildflowers in the woods, I caught sight of a man standing inside the trees. He looked harmless enough, but it was kind of creepy because he had a huge grin on his face. That'd be a note from me. I would have turned around and went back to the house. I kept on walking along, trying not to pay him any attention, but he just stood in the same spot and continued grinning. Now, this was back in the days before stranger danger and all that. But looking back, I should have taken off then and there. That's what I would have done, as a kid especially. Instead, I tried to stare him down. No matter what I did, he just stood there, motionless, with that weird grin on his face. I eventually tried waving at him, but this elicited no response. I tired of the game after about 15 minutes or so, eventually made my way back to my grandparents' house. When I got in, I told my grandma about the grinning man, and she became visibly upset. She went and got my grandpa and told him about what I'd seen. Now, Grandpa here, he didn't fool around. Grandpa went into the bedroom and got his shotgun and headed off in the direction of the woods where I'd been. He stated very vehemently that nobody had any business being on their property, especially when his granddaughters were nearby. I got kind of scared when we heard a couple of shotgun blasts a few minutes later. I was afraid Grandpa had killed someone. I went and hid in the back bedroom. However, when he came back inside later, he let us know that he hadn't seen a soul, but had fired off a couple of rounds to make sure the grinning stranger knew he wasn't welcome here. After that little incident, I never did venture too far into the woods anymore when we went to visit. It scares me more to think about it now than it did when I was a child. Excuse me, can't get rid of that tickle in my throat. Makes it a little difficult to read, but yeah, Karma, I thought that was you under a different name there because I recognize the picture there. Is that from a movie or a TV show or something that looks familiar? Hey, Jim Ronan, how you doing? Glad to see you. Evening. You must be in the UK or somewhere. It's because it's only not quite 1 p.m. here on the east coast of the U.S. So it'd be what, about 6 o'clock for you there in the UK? But thanks for joining us. Hey, Joseph Johnson, how you doing? Good to see you. Okay, moving into place for a heart enzyme problem or something. So keep Stu's friend in your prayers there. Jerry Purdue. Everybody just say a word of something there that send him some love, some light, some healing, whatever he needs. And yes, please refrain from smoking. I like that little tagline. Oh, well, thank you, Dimensional Horse. There's some good ones in there. Nearly 6 p.m. Must be the UK. Oh, bus driver, Stu Benedict. Is that from Pete and Pete? Yeah, that is the universal language. I've seen my dad do the same thing. Like I said, we lived out in the country on a small farm, 26 and a half acres. And if the dogs were raising Cain and causing a big ruckus, he'd go out, fire off a couple of shots, and say, "That's just in case there's anybody lurking around." We never did. I mean, as far out as we lived, we never did get broken into or get anything stolen that I'm aware of. So, did the trick. Yeah, that was Pete and Pete. That's one of my favorite shows ever. Um, although I was not really that era. I was a big kid that liked Nickelodeon. And my wife, Nicole, she was born in 85, and she likes a lot of those Nick shows too. Are You Afraid of the Dark? That was, anybody here? That was some scary TV. I don't care if it was a kid's show. And several years ago when I lived in Portland, Oregon, they had Pete Fest and or Pete Stock, whatever they called it. And I went and I met Danny Tamborelli, and I can't remember the actor's name that played the other Pete, but he was there. Mom was there. Artie, the strongest man in the world, he was there. And the guy that played Endless Mike. And they had a little program done up like a zine that had Pete and Pete stories, and you could cut out a petunia tattoo to stick on your arm and all this. But it was nice getting to meet those people and getting their autographs and stuff. It was really, really cool. But Pete and Pete, there's never been any show like that. Yeah, Salute Your Shorts. Donkey Lips, Bauer. Can't remember his last name. He's a friend of mine. I'd like to get him on sometime on one of my other channels. And Are You Afraid of the Dark? DJ McHale, one of the co-creators of that, and wrote most of the scripts. He's a friend of mine, and I'm going to try to get him on some show or another to come on and talk about Are You Afraid of the Dark? Like I said, it was a big part of Nicole's childhood, and I watched it, even though I'm 22 years older than she is. I watched it when we still sit here sometimes and watch Are You Afraid of the Dark? That's good television. Mr. Tasty, yeah. Toby Huss, yeah. I couldn't think of the name, but yeah, I met him. He was there. But it was a good time. But yeah, love all those old classic shows. Snick, remember Saturday Night Nick, Snick at Night. And then I remember one year they used to, during Halloween, if you answered the phone and said Snick or Treat, you could win a glow-in-the-dark limited edition Nickelodeon t-shirt. And I think that might have been like 83 or something like that. So I was 20 years old, but I was even like, if the phone rang, I was like, Snick or Treat. What'd you say? Oh, never mind. Erie, Indiana. That was a good show too. I remember that one, Kyrie. The one that readily springs to mind was the lady that sealed her kids in Tupperware every night. They slept in a Tupperware bed. And what was that show that he was on? I can't remember. Somebody here, Stickley. Remember that. And Nicole still remembers the address that you could send your cards and letters to him. Now mine was Zoom, ZOOM. Do you remember? Everybody remember watching that on PBS? Zoom, right? Zoom, ZOOM, Box 350, Boston, Mass. 02134. That's stuck in my head for probably at least 50 years, but she can remember the stick stickly. I'll get it out here in a minute address. But maybe I have on one of my channels, I'll have a Nickelodeon week. I friends with a lot of those people. Lisa Ruddy from You Can't Do That on Television. She and her husband own a funeral home and mortuary in Canada. Christine McGlade, who played Moose on You Can't Do That on Television. She's, I think, an educator or something now, some kind of professor, I believe. She's a Facebook friend. Abby Haggard, the one that played Mom, she's one of my Facebook friends. Les Lai, who played the dad on in different characters in those skits on You Can't Do That on Television. He passed away a couple of years ago. I was friends with him, friends with his daughter. And yeah, I could have and that show, that was a Canadian show. Started out on I think CJOH in Ottawa, and then Nickelodeon picked it up. But the green slime and all that, they were doing that before they came over to Nickelodeon. And Nickelodeon, which is synonymous now with green slime, they got that from You Can't Do That on Television. Those are some good shows. Yeah, Toonami. I didn't watch Toonami much. Hey, Sovian, welcome in. Thanks for being here. Well, folks, I've been on here about an hour. So I almost said it in hillbilly vernacular. I've been here about an hour. But thanks for being here today and joining me for a cup of coffee. I talk so much, I only drank about half my coffee today. I usually finish a cup. Yeah, most of Nick's shows were Canadian. Hey Dude, you remember that one? That was shot by Bagwell Communications, who's headquartered in Knoxville, Tennessee. Also the home of HGTV, and I think there's some other stuff. One of my friends from Knoxville produced was City Confidential. I think it's a true crime show that they used to have over there. But we'll do that sometime. It might be more apropos over on 13 past midnight, but let's have a Nickelodeon week. And I'll see if DJ McHale will come on, if Bauer, Donkey Lips will come on, and some of the, I don't know about some of the ones from You Can't Do That on Television. They might. Les Lai would have, but oh, there you go. The creator of Doug. Wow. Awesome. There were some other strange shows I remember on like the morning Nickelodeon shows. Pinwheel, The Elephant Show with Sharon Lois and Brom, Calliope. Boy, that's reaching way back in the early days of Nickelodeon. The only network for kids. I worked for Nickelodeon in Florida as a stage manager, live show production. Worked on Double Dare and what was some of the other? Boy, that's been a long time ago. Now get out of that. I think that was, I remember the names. So that's all a blur. But when they moved all their actual working studio stuff to Burbank, I stayed in Florida, went to work for the Mouse, which I've sometimes regretted, but all roads lead to here, and I'm where I need to be with the person I need to be with, married, and doesn't get any better. So I do it all again on my hands and knees in gravel. If you've ever fell into gravel as a kid, you know what I'm talking about. But I would do it all again, hands and knees in gravel, to get where I am today. All right, folks, I'm going to get on out of here for now, finish putting this video together. Hope to see you tomorrow night over on Lee G's First Floor Audio for Radio 1FA original tracks back to back. Yeah, Chris, it is just a shadow of its former self. And they had the resort there, Nick Hotel. That's gone now. I think it's back to a Holiday Inn or something. There is a Nick Hotel, but I think it's like I want to say like Mexico or somewhere down South America, somewhere there is still a Nickelodeon hotel, but that one in Orlando is long, long gone. I was there for the grand opening of that. I produced a video that rock band Good Charlotte. Anybody remember them? They did a live video on the playground there at Nickelodeon Resort, and I produced that video, which wasn't much. It was just they played whatever song it was and jumped around with their guitars and lip sync to it. And it's like shot here, establishing shot, two shot, this camera, that camera, this camera, go up on the balcony and shoot down on it. Get down. I like those low angle shots. Get down here, shoot down, let the guitar player menace you. It's a lot of fun. Hey, Callie, how you doing, Jay Newton? Good to see you. Yeah, stay warm there too. It's see what it is here before I sign off for this episode of Coffee with Steve. It is 47 degrees and raining right now. Most of the snow is melted off. I can't see out the color weather window. That's I've got it closed down now. Some stations will say, now on the color weather radar, I've got a color weather window. I look out the window to see what it's doing. Hey, Sharinator, how you doing? Good to see you, my friend. Thank you for joining us. Chair, you're right here at the end of it, brother, but we'll be back for another one. Hope to see you, Chairinator, Stephen, over at Lee G's tomorrow night for Radio 1FA, original tracks back-to-back. Chairinator has some good gaming on his channel. I haven't caught any of your streams lately, Stephen. I don't know if you've been live and I just haven't seen them or what, but go ahead and drop a link to your channel. Hey, Jubba Jub, I think I said hi to you, but if I didn't, hey there. Oh, Lego Hotel. Now, I've been to Legoland, which is interesting. I'm not really into Legos. I was when I was a kid, but they do have some amazing things there made out of Legos. Okay. Well, I hope your health improves there. Everybody say a little prayer for Stephen too, in addition to Stu's friend. All right. I'm going to roll on out of here and get busy editing the audio for this video about strange unsolved disappearances in Canada. It's coming up. Said if I don't get it done tonight, it should be ready tomorrow. And recording some other stuff. Don't forget SOR, Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. He gives me the top of the third hour over there for a story. I'm recording some exclusive material for him. And book sale in the Etsy store if you want copies of this book or any of the others that I've got over there. This is the one I was reading out of today, Strange Things in the Woods. That's going to be the best price all year for that one. Everybody have a great day, and I will see you here again with a video premiere and Friday evening, 6 p.m. Eastern for current missing person cases live. All right, everybody, stay safe, stay warm. Have a good morning, evening, night, whatever it is, wherever you are. Have your best one. Stay blessed. As for Nicole and myself, we'll see you a little further on down the trail. Tell your animals we said hi. Oh, and Mulder, too. Can't leave him out. He's back here behind me snoring. Thanks, everybody. Lee G is going to play us out here with Shutters. Enjoy, folks.